Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're doing the first Spring 2023 Season 1 Roundup for today's second video. So we're getting 15 long-range models together from the world's leading forecast centres for the first time this season to see what they're all showing for Spring 2023. And I shall get on that for you in a moment. Just say about the first video today was the 6 AM upload. Got weekend forecast and a 10 to 14 day video update for you later on this afternoon as well. So please like, share and subscribe on videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. And just to say that the next spring update will be released tomorrow. It's going to be a bit of a solar special, that one. Right, okay, let's have a look then at Kansas first of all. So this is from Tidbits.com. This is the mean sail pressure anomaly for spring 2023. Looks rather unsettled, doesn't it, with plenty of blue in the Atlantic. So it looks like we're in for quite an unsettled spring there with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. Rather milder than average spring is predicted with slightly above average temperatures. Not excessively so, but relatively mild spring indicated there. And precipitation-wise, it looks drier than average to our north and wetter than average to our south and west. Quite a mixed spring, I think, there to start us off. Then we've got the NMME suite of models to go through for temperature and precipitation. So this is all coming from NOAA. These are various models within the umbrella of NOAA. Starting off with NASA. So the NASA GOS5 model, V2, is predicting above average temperatures for this spring. A nice mild spring to come, if you like that sort of thing. And precipitation anomalies, not much of a signal, neither wet or a dry spring indicating. GM, the Canadian model, Nemo, looks mild and average for the spring as well, with the temperature anomaly there. Perhaps seems to be a little bit on the dry side. It's a very weak signal, but if you look closer to the screen, a little bit dry for Scotland, little shades of yellow, like across northern and western Europe. So perhaps a slightly warm and dry spring indicated by the GM. And then NCAR looks like that, just slightly above average temperatures, not as mild as the other models perhaps. And again, not much of a signal for precipitation. So the NMME suite, rather weak with their signals. IRI next, of course, which is probability from International Research Institute for Climate and Society, part of Columbia Climate School. Probabilities for temperature probabilities for spring 2023, actually I was going to flip that over, spring 2023, favouring a milder than average spring there for England and Wales, and quite strongly favouring a milder than average spring as well in those deeper pink colours. However, Scotland is favoured to have probability there, favours like a 40% probability of a slightly colder than average spring, maybe. Though, a little bit colder Scotland, but otherwise, relatively mild spring is indicated. And then, precipitation-wise, again, not much of a signal from IRI, doesn't really favour either, probabilities don't really favour either a drier or a wetter spring, to be honest. But Talpen's analogues look like this, 200 millibar height anomaly for spring 2023, showing area of above average height, sat right over the top of the UK and much of West Europe. So a very settled spring on the way, if that's right. Quite a mild spring as well, so temperatures indicate to be above average. Most parts of Europe looking very mild with Talpen's analogues too. And as you expect, high pressure close for us, a dry and average spring is indicated there across much of Western Europe. So a warm, dry spring from Talpen's analogues. Right, then CFSV2 looks like this. This is the 700 millibar height anomaly, showing above average heights again. Sat over and something to the east country, very similar to Talpen's analogue actually. So the model, you know, is agreeing with the analogue there within NOAA. So above average heights, high pressure sitting over slightly to the east of the UK and Ireland. A warmer than average spring is indicated in those orange to red colours. So very mild, if not warm spring. and not much signal for precipitation. We can see it's driving average over France, up towards southern Scandinavia. So I think, you know, relatively warm, dry spring would be likely there. Right, that's it for the American models. Let's come to Europe, starting off with ECMWF. This is a mean sea level pressure anomaly for spring 2023 from ECMWF, and this one shows blocking in the North Atlantic and going up towards Greenland, which you would think would be indicating quite a cold spring potentially, with winds in from the north and from the northeast. The temperature anomaly, as ever, is ever so slightly above average, just ever so slightly above. But with the Greenland high, you know, I'd expect quite a coldish spring really there, and not much signal for precipitation with ECMWF. Moving on to the Copernicus suite of models, this is how they're looking, starting off with Meteo France, indicating like a negative NEO type pattern with lower pressure down towards Spain, higher pressure maybe around the Norwegian Sea over towards Greenland. That's particularly so in March, I can tell you, with a negative NEO pattern does produce in April and May. Excuse me. And a mild and average spring is expected there. Temperature is about 1 degree above average in those orange colours, and not much signal for precipitation. Certainly from like a mean cell pressure anomaly point of view, the European models are looking a little bit more interesting than the North American models, I have to say. DWD looks like this for spring 2023. Not much of a signal, but some higher pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. Otherwise, there's not much going on there. The temperature anomaly from DWD for the spring, actually push that on. Temperature anomaly for spring 2023 looks like that. And again, you know, it's a little bit above average, not particularly excessively so, about average to half a degree or so above, something like that. The precipitation anomaly from DWD looks a little bit wetter. So that does look a little bit wetter for this spring. Then we've got the ECCC. That one also placing some high pressure up towards Greenland, with low pressure underneath it into the North Atlantic. Again, could that be bringing in winds from an easterly direction with the ECCC? The temperature anomaly is about average to ever so slightly above, not excessively mild or warm. And the precipitation anomaly again looks a little bit on the wetter side, if anything, slightly above average rainfall. Close to the UK, a little bit dry up towards Iceland, indicative of some blocking there. CMCC looks like that, with some high pressure over side to the east, so that's much more anticyclonic and in line with, you know, like CFS and Patal-Peng. A warmer spring is anticipated there, expected in the orange colours. That's around 1 degree above average, and of course with high pressure close to the country, a drier spring is indicated there too. And then JMA looking like this from a Japanese meteorological agency. Mean cell pressure anomaly for spring 2023, showing a high pressure towards Scandinavia, and maybe quite easy. Of course, spring is the most easterly of the seasons. You often do get Scandinavian highs, especially later on in April and particularly May. A warm spring is forecast there from the JMA in those orange colours. So again, that's around half degree to 1 degree above average. And precipitation wise, not much of a signal, but with high pressure over Scandinavia, I expect a relatively dry spring. Let's keep the Asian theme going then and move on to the Beijing Climate Centre. See what Chinese model is showing. If you're enjoying this, or have enjoyed it at the end now, if you have enjoyed this spring 2023 season around, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. So 500 millibar height anomaly for spring 2023 from Beijing Climate Centre, with below average heights to our northwest, above average heights to our south-southwest, and that leads us bringing in like a westerly or a southwesterly flow. 200 millibar height anomaly also shows that area of above average heights, higher pressure just to our south, again likely to be bringing in a westerly flow. The temperature anomaly from the Beijing Climate Centre is slightly above average, not excessively warm, but in most yellow colours on the scale, that's around half a degree to 1 degree above average. And rather wet spring is indicated as well, with above average rainfall there for the UK and Ireland. However, just to our south, it is actually a relatively dry spring, so we're only just on the periphery of that wet weather. And then, lastly, we've got our very own UK Met Office GWV model, which looks like this. The mean sea pressure has below average pressure, or low pressure, really up to the north, higher pressure to the south and southwest, bridging into the UK and Ireland. So that leads us to have above average temperatures for this spring. Again, in those orange colours, which is around 1 degree above average, something like that. And the precipitation anomaly is a little bit on the drier side as well, I think. So a relatively warm and dry spring indicated with the UK Met. Right, so quite an interesting roundup there. I've got a mixed bag of models. There's a few models there, but do look a little bit colder, certainly from a blocking perspective, although no mod's actually going for a colder than average season, so I have to put that on the table. They are all going for varying degrees of mild, either average to a little bit above, or quite mild, quite warm. But there's a few there. ECMWF, for example, does place high pressure towards Greenland. I think those models that have that high pressure towards Greenland are doing it particularly so in March. In March, it reduces as the spring goes along. Otherwise, just looks like it's going to be relatively benign spring. It's not a lot of evidence that it's a particularly severe season in any direction. Of course, spring usually isn't. So we just wait and see. This is the first update. We're going to do another one at the end of February, just before we release our winter forecast. So we'll see what the long range models are showing for the spring then. If you have enjoyed this first spring 2023 seasonal model roundup, then please can you like, share and subscribe on the videos. And thank you so much everybody for doing that. We'll be back later on with weekend forecast and attend the 14th day of the next spring update will be released tomorrow at 10 a.m. That will be looking at springs for this phase of the solar cycle. That'll be quite an interesting watch. I'll be coming up for you tomorrow. For this first spring 2023 season model roundup, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. See you soon.